Whether you have a diagnosis or not, I don't care. I'll teach you how to find what's causing your health concerns using the labs you already have. Your doctor might tell you your blood work is normal, but I'm here to teach you a better way. If you're a doctor or a health coach and anything in between, there's one for you too. Download your cheat guides and register here at drkylieburton.com. This podcast is sponsored by Systemic Formulas and Nutribiome. Systemic Formulas, the supplement company I trust with my patients and family. Instead of ordering from a handful of companies, I use 95% SF products. They're top-of-the-line quality with the best lab west of the Mississippi. They're pure, potent, and they get results. In fact, I recommend you follow their Instagram at Systemic Formulas Institute. Also, the man who's behind the Systemic Formulas products, Dr. Shane Morris, is launching a new line of supplements designed to take your microbiome to the next level. He has specific prebiotics designed to feed the probiotics. Learn more and order soon at mybiome.com. All right, let's jump into the episode. Welcome to the Beyond the Diagnosis podcast with me, your host, Dr. Kylie. We are jumping into some labs today. Why? Because I love labs. If you don't know that already, in fact, even more than labs, I love normal labs. When your doctor tells you that your labs are normal, yet you feel like crap, you're in the right place, because I'm going to teach you exactly a very specific pattern that you can find inside your regular blood work. If you have blood work, if you have them in your possession, awesome, go get them. If you have a portal where you can access your labs, go get them. Your labs are yours. They don't need to just stay at the doctor's office. You can have access to all of them. And in fact, I would highly recommend you either get them to print them off at the doctor's office and hand you hard copies, or you download all the PDFs from your patient portal and you make sure you have them easily and readily available. Then, once you have your labs, go grab your free blood work cheat guide. It can be found at drkylieburton.com. In it, I explain some key pieces that you want to know and look for inside your labs. It will save you thousands of dollars, thousands of hours, and time is precious. You can get your health back now. We don't chase symptoms around here. In fact, if I chase symptoms, you will see in just a few minutes on why we don't. It leads to a lot of supplements. And it's basically you just feeling like you're getting darts thrown at the dartboard. You might suggest it's your thyroid. So your doctor or your alternative medicine practitioner, whatever their background is, says, oh, it could be your thyroid. And they give you thyroid medication or a thyroid supplement. Is it your thyroid? This one, 16 years old, she has some mental struggles. Who doesn't the last 18 months? It has destroyed lives, especially teenagers. I don't know about you, but I have seen it in my own practice, in my own community. Teenagers their lives were taken from them. They are social. And when you're told that you can't be social anymore because of some lie, yes, you heard me right, then what do? I want to share with you her labs. And not only her labs, I'm going to walk you through autoimmune disease. Whether you have autoimmune disease like Hashimoto's rheumatoid arthritis, MS, Parkinson's, Sjogren's syndrome, endometriosis can even be considered autoimmune, Crohn's disease, IBS, IBD, ulcerative colitis. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Here's the problem with autoimmune disease. Researchers can't define it. And if they can't define it, how the heck are they supposed to know how to treat it? I'm here to change all that. In fact, right now, there are over 24 million Americans diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. I would guess at least double, if not triple, of that should be diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. They just don't have a quote, the lab markers taken or come out positive. For those of you who are fighting chronic fatigue, fighting anxiety, depression, fighting these flares where you have good days and bad days, and you have no idea what's causing it because you're eating clean, you're like not eating anything that you used to enjoy because heaven forbid it might end up with some brain fog or some gastrointestinal symptoms, but you're still surviving. I don't know about you, but I like food. Food should be our friend, not our enemy. And we are taught and trained and it is shoved down our throat that food is our enemy. And we have to spend hordes and hordes and hordes and hordes of money on clean eating. And don't get me wrong, this is all important. But when you're doing all these things and yet you still are in survival mode, that's where I see a problem. And that's where the blood work comes into place. Remember, go grab your blood work cheat guide because I'm going to teach you exactly how to do this, whether you have a medical background or not. You don't need one. It's that simple. You can be in charge of your own labs. First, I want to show you how this patient feels. And this is why I don't chase symptoms and why I don't recommend we chase symptoms because there's a lot of symptoms we would be chasing. Okay, 16-year-old girl who's finally told her mom that she's not doing so well. Mental mind games are the biggest concern. Fatigue is the other biggest concern, and loss of motivation. So this is the questionnaire I have everybody fill out. Notice that the zeros are never, and the 4 is most frequent, and it is severe, okay? So I'm just going to jump through the 3s and the 4s. The 3s are frequently, but it's not as severe. 4 is frequent and severe. So we right off the bat, I see insomnia is rated a 4. We have bags and dark circles under the eyes at a 3. Swollen or discolored tongue at a 3. Remember, she's 16. Then we get into the digestive tract and we have diarrhea at a 3. Bloated, belching, passing gas, both at 4s. Intestinal pain at 3. Jumping over to the joints and muscles. Pain and aches and joints at a 3. Feeling of weakness or tiredness at a 4. We get into the weight. Binge eating and drinking. I mean, all of these except for underweight are either at 3s or 4s. Craving certain foods, excessive weight, compulsive eating, water retention, fatigue and sluggishness, and then the mind games. All of them are at 3s and 4s except for 2. Poor memory, confusion, poor concentration, poor physical coordination, difficulty making decisions, stuttering or stammering. And last but not least, the emotion section is all 4s. Mood swings, anxiety, anger, depression, 16 out of 16. And then on the other, we have a frequent or urgent urination, genital itch, or discharge at 3s. Her total is 135, which is pretty common for me to see. I typically see people between 100 and 200. You're really high if you're above 200. You're doing pretty good if you're below 100 inside this particular questionnaire. So like I said, where on earth would we begin? Maybe throw something at her mind. Maybe throw something at her hormones to balance out the weight. Maybe throw in some GABA to help out with the emotions, a little bit of anti-anxiety stuff. What about the joint pain and the muscle pain? Throw in some collagen, turmeric for an anti-inflammatory. Do you guys see what I'm saying at here? Oh, not to mention the digestive tract. We got some major diarrhea, constipation going on, some bloating, some intestinal stomach pain. I mean, we got major issues across multiple systems in the body. Now, remember, your body is an incredible machine. Incredible. In fact, it's doing things right now you've never even told it to do, to keep you alive and to do a lot of other things than just keep you alive. The body, our bodies, are multiple systems, and those systems interact with each other. You can't just focus on your hormone system and blame your hormones. You can, and take some testosterone and progesterone. I'm sure that will help. Maybe throw in some birth control or even a hysterectomy, heaven forbid. Your hormone system is just one system. Your digestive system is just one system, but they are all impacting each other and influencing each other. So you need to, one, remove any underlying barrier that can affect all systems of the body. We're going to get into that, especially when it comes to autoimmune. Two, once you remove those underlying barriers, now you can go in and heal the systems. Once the systems get into place and run correctly, now they're all functioning together, then you can jump into the organ, the tissue, or the gland, like how to treat a thyroid by not treating the thyroid kind of thing, and then the cellular approach. So one, remove any underlying barrier that can attack all systems of the body, AKA infections. And I'm going to get to that inside your normal labs. All right, let's just jump into the normal labs because you know how she feels. So based off of how she feels, let's take the numbers, which are right here, and figure out what they say. And then once the numbers tell us the key puzzle pieces, we can then take how she feels plus the numbers and create a personalized supplement plan that is so easy, so straightforward. She knows exactly what she's going to do at every point along the way. No guessing either on her part or my part. And when you do that, trust and results. So you'll see her page if you're looking on the video. If you're thinking about the audio, I will walk you through it so you can hear it still. This is the form that we take all of our tests and we plug them into because it makes it really simple and easy. And now you're thinking, Dr. Kylie, how many tests do you like to see? I got tests going back from 12 years ago when I was first having issues. I want to see tests from 12 years ago. I want to see all the tests that you have because it gives us puzzle pieces and patterns throughout your entire story. But you don't just have to rely on me to do this. I'm teaching you practitioners and I'm teaching you patients. Like I said, medical background, not even necessary. So right off the bat, inside her blood work, I see we have some blood sugar imbalances and the low levels. So if it's less than 85, we're thinking blood sugar. The reason why I care is because it leads to hormone chaos. Hormone chaos of all types. Then the next marker, and when I ever write the word autoimmune on my form, it like freaks people out. Unless they've been listening to this podcast or my social media for a while. Just because it's autoimmune doesn't mean you need to worry about it because there is a way to kick it to the curb. At uric acid, typically I want to see it between 3.2 and 5.5 on a female. And most of the time, they're not even going to take a uric acid level. Now, remember, this is just regular blood work her doctor took. We're just using it. You have the regular blood work to use it. Oftentimes, the uric acid will not be inside your blood work unless they're thinking gout, which is a big toe problem. In my world, if it's above the normal ideal range, I should say, we're going to think autoimmune. And if it's possible autoimmune, are there additional patterns inside her other blood work that lead to autoimmune? And you will see in just a minute what those patterns are. Additional markers I have indicated on her blood work as out of range are the phosphorus marker, which can also be a kidney. Whenever I say kidneys, think detox system. We have a marker for leaky gut in the total protein. And her alk phos, which is often high in teenagers because they're growing, so don't worry about it. And then her liver enzymes. Liver markers are specific to AST and ALT. Those are my favorite markers for liver. They're just flat out liver markers. The ideal range is between 10 and 26, but I want to see them around 15. Just if you're above 26, your liver and the detox organs need help on either the AST or the ALT. Hers are high on both scenarios, 34 and 54. So we have one marker for kidneys. We now have two markers for liver. Then we jump into her iron panel, and a typical iron panel, very common pattern anyways, which I'm not going to get into, but I'm going to tell you that there is no iron inside her body. There is a little bit, I guess, not no, so a little bit. But if your body is lacking iron, oxygen cannot get to your cells. So it doesn't matter what treatment you give people or what treatment you try. If you don't have enough iron, your cells can't do their job because they don't have energy in the form of oxygen. You can actually find autoimmune inside a cholesterol panel too. In her case, it doesn't fit the autoimmune pattern, but the cholesterol is slightly elevated. So are the triglycerides, and then the HDL, which is the good guys, are slightly low. So if you've been told that your cholesterol panel is off or it's a little bit out of the ideal range, think three things: thyroid, inflammation, healthy fats are needed. We jump down to her TSH, which is a thyroid panel marker. I'm not going to say it's a thyroid marker because it's not. It's a pituitary marker, but her thyroid actually looks beautiful. All the TSH, the free T3, the free T4, as the numbers that we have, they look good. If I were to recommend getting additional thyroid markers, they would include reverse T3, TPO, and TG antibodies. The more I learn about the reverse T3, the more I like that puzzle piece. So include it. In fact, reverse T3 can help you determine your metabolism rate. And then here's one that catches my attention all the time. Vitamin D. Her vitamin D is 22. Yes, that's below the normal range, and it's way below what I would recommend. I want to see vitamin D around 80. Why? Because every cell needs vitamin D. It is the key factor for your immune system. If you don't have enough vitamin D, your cells are lacking. Your immune system is lacking ingredients they need to do their job. If you're only going to change one thing, especially with autoimmune, vitamin D. And you're about to see what I recommend for her inside her labs, or her blood work, or her supplement plan, I should say. Let me get the words right. Then we get down into the CBC with differential, and that has the key pattern for whether or not it is autoimmune. And I'm going to walk you through this pattern so you know. Go grab your blood work. You're going to see these markers right inside. And if you don't, you will only have a CBC. You're missing some very key puzzle pieces. You need a CBC with differential. That differential portion includes these 5 markers: neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils. We're going to pay attention to 2 markers right now: the neutrophils and the lymphocytes. If your neutrophils are above 60%, you are fighting a bacterial infection. Why? Because that's what neutrophils do, is they fight bacteria. Then the next marker down are called lymphocytes. If you see lymphocytes above 30%, you are fighting a virus. What virus is it? I don't care. So again, if the neutrophils are over 60%, you're fighting a bacterial infection, not a bacterial infection that's going to come up positive on a test. So don't go running into your doctor's office and saying, oh my gosh, my labs, they tell me that I have a bacterial infection and I need to run E. coli, C. diff, Campylobacter, H. pylori, or any of those other bacterial infection counts, because you're going to be sorely disappointed. They're going to come back negative. Thank heavens. Because if they come back positive, you are literally on a toilet for 30 days. These are low-grade chronic infections. The type of infection that will destroy or wreak havoc on any system of the body. Just getting back to this, find underlying barriers that are destroying systems in your body, and then tissues, and then organs and cells and everything in between, and remove them. If you're just focusing on your hormones and you're fighting an infection, I mean, taking testosterone is going to feel good because it's taking testosterone, but you're really not getting down to the root cause. We might think we are, but we're not. You got to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, I've eliminated all the foods that could be a culprit in my body, that's the root cause. Might be one of them. But I can almost guarantee you that the air you breathe and the water you drink are more important than the food you're eating. Have we thought about that yet? Maybe you have, if you've been sticking around on my podcast and social media for long enough. There's a reason why people are still surviving when they've eliminated all of the quote unquote culprit foods and they're eating the perfect diet for them, whatever that perfect diet is for them. If your neutrophils are greater than 60% bacterial and virus, low-grade bacterial infection. If the lymphocytes are over 30%, again, these are percentages, so make sure you're paying attention to the percentage markers, not the absolute values. There's a difference. We don't care about absolute values. We want percentages because we're going to keep this simple. If it's above 30%, you're thinking virus. These are low-grade chronic viruses that your body is just like, I am fighting and fighting and fighting. And I'm tired and I'm tired and I'm tired. And it's not because I'm a mom. It's not because I have to work and hold a job and take care of all my kids and 24/7. My life's never relaxed. It's not because I need to have more meditation time. It's not whatever you've been told. Throw it out the window. Say you're looking at your labs right now and your lymphocytes are 36%. You have a low-grade virus that's causing your fatigue. Now, there's a key pattern between these two pieces I want you to know. And this is where autoimmune comes into play. We want to see this pattern be a 2-to-1 ratio. Neutrophils at 60%, lymphocytes 30%, 60-30, 2-to-1 ratio. If they are approaching a 1-to-1 ratio, that's where we see autoimmune. And this is an autoimmune pattern. Do I know what kind of autoimmune? No. All I know is that the immune system is under too much stress, too much burden, that it's just going to start attacking any part of the body. What part? Well, that is determined by your genes. Take a big deep breath and let that sink in. Go look at your labs. Check the neutrophil count. Check the lymphocyte count. And know for yourself, what's really going on inside your body, utilizing the labs you already have. Like I said, you can do this with a medical background or not. You can. It's so cool. And if you're freaking out right now because you see numbers like 44 and 47, or 42 and 48, or 47 and 46, whatever those numbers are, it's okay. You now have answers you've been searching for a long time. And just because I use the word autoimmune doesn't mean you need to run away. There are 3 steps for kicking autoimmune disease to the curb. Write this down, because this is how you effectively treat autoimmune disease. And remember, researchers can't define it. If they can't define it, why do we expect them to know how to treat it? Let me give you an example here. I had a patient with MS, and she's 39 years old. When I say came in, I don't have a brick and mortar practice. I have it for a lot of years. I'm completely virtual. So came in, I mean, Zoom, before Zoom was cool. I saw her labs. I read over her labs. I looked at her questionnaire, and she had 2 big concerns. One, she had just tried to do a bike race with her husband. I think it was 50 miles or something like that. Something crazy in my head. But biking was something that her and her husband enjoyed doing together. She finished the bike race barely, having felt like her body betrayed her and having felt like she could no longer do this with her husband. And that's the key. It's because she wanted to do this, 1, to feel good, but 2, to have something her and her husband could celebrate and do together. Her other concern was she had 4 teenage boys. And during the summers, when it's above 72 degrees, which in her location is at least 6 months out of the year. We have the 4 seasons where she is. She can't go outside because the heat instigates a autoimmune MS flare. So she gets diagnosed with MS. They throw a couple different types of medications at her, and then they say, oh, well, there's this trial injection that you can utilize. Trial. You go down and you get this injection at the clinic once a month. So she's been doing that up until the point where she saw me. The problem is that trial injection would make her bedridden for 3 days afterwards. Is this the way we are truly managing autoimmune disease? And I said manage for a reason. I don't manage this stuff. I'm not going to teach you how to manage this stuff. I'm going to teach you how to kick this stuff to the curb, just like my mom. Not my mom personally, but this mom has done. Less than 2 months after we got started on a personalized, simple supplement plan for a couple $100 a month, she's out biking again, just competed in another race with her husband, crushed it, said she never felt so good in her whole life, hardly trained for it. And she's spending summers with her boys, outdoors, doing the things that they love. How did we do that? How can you do that? 3 steps. Step number 1, identify the triggers. There is a reason that your gene got turned on. And possibly genes, because with one autoimmune, chances are you have more than just one. So identify the triggers. These triggers can be food, stress, mold, metabolic issues like pregnancy, PCOS, the flu even. And then most commonly, the underlying infections. Infections can include parasites, bacteria, fungal like Candida, viruses like Epstein-Barr virus. In fact, 95% of Hashimoto's and type 1 diabetes, EBV virus, attacking the thyroid or attacking the pancreas. That's step number 1, identify the triggers and remove them effectively. 2, once those triggers have been removed, now your immune system's like, oh, I can handle this. I'm not under so much burden anymore. You're going to calm the immune system down and give it the ingredients it needs to do its job. The biggest key ingredient you all know is vitamin D. Give it, and give it in high doses. And check your vitamin D status. 32 is within the normal range, but you're going to feel like crap at 32. You're going to feel much better at 80. You're going to feel much better at even 50, but get it up there. And once you've calmed the immune system down and given it what it needs, step number 3 is to rehab the gut. Why? Because 80% of your immune system is the gut. Now, that doesn't mean just take a probiotic. That's not going to cut it. There's your 3 steps to kicking autoimmune disease to the curb. Now that you know those, let's take a look and see what our 16-year-old's supplement plan is based on how she feels and her labs. And of course, those 3 steps. Again, this is exactly what everybody gets when I look at their labs and I create them a personalized supplement plan. You know exactly what you're taking, why you're taking it, when, and how much throughout the entire process. 0 guessing on my part, 0 guessing on your part. Oh, we got to pause here because let me confirm with you what those autoimmune patterns were. Okay, we've got autoimmune with 45 and 44. Because the 44 is so high, it's dominant with a viral component. So there is a big trigger. We need to remove it. So we're going to go into her supplement plan, and you will see Vivi. Vivi is an antiviral to help us remove the virus. And I shouldn't say remove it because that's technically, it never gets removed. Once it's there, it's there. But it's going to make the virus dormant. And if you have these good days and these bad days, think about it as my good days, the virus is more dormant. My bad days, the virus is more active. Vivi is like the best antiviral. Vitamin D, I've got her on DV3 at 3 in the morning and 3 at night. You might be thinking, well, what's that dosage? Something like this. There are around, let's just say 4,500 IUs per capsule of DV3. She's taking 6. So it's around, I'm not going to do my math, but I want it to be around 25,000 IUs of vitamin D per day. And then we'll take that down to 20,000 the next month and then 15,000. And then she's going to stay and maintain at 10,000. Her vitamin D is depleted. Her immune system needs it to help it do its job. Because right now the immune system is failing. Moors is going to help your body and her body take B vitamins and use them better. Neurocin is brain food. It's one of my favorite things to take for keeping my brain working top notch and for combating brain fog. Calm contains GABA. Now, when I'm thinking about creating supplement plans based off of how she feels plus her labs, I'm going to say to myself, what does her body need? What is it depleted in? And add that with any antiviral in the first step. I call it replenish. Replenish, 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 because when you get down into the next step where we're actually going in and destroying more infections, make sure you fuel the body before you do this. Bactrex and Fungdx. Now you might be thinking, Well, she has a virus. So why the heck are you throwing in Bactrex and Fundix to conquer any bacterial infection and fungal infection? Well, one, because if you have one infection, you will probably have multiple. And two, she's got a lot of digestive complaints. So I'm going to make sure we get rid of these underlying digestive concerns, which is why I say you can't just take a probiotic to fix your gut. It doesn't work like that. And then the biggest mistake I often see is when people are destroying things, even if it's antibiotics, they're not taking a binder to clean up the mess. You're destroying things that contain toxins in them. You need to take something that will go in and clean up the mess, and that's what Bind does. And then I have Calm in addition, because that's going to help her, 1, to fall asleep, and 2, stay asleep, and 3, anti-anxiety effect. So if you're like, I just need to start off somewhere, where should I start? Vitamin D, and if you have anxiety at all, Calm. Then we're going to get in, once we've destroyed the bad guys, we're going to get the good guys back in. This is my Leaky Gut Protocol, Vista 1, Vista 2, and L-Gut. And then we jump straight into hormones. So her plan is a 6-month plan. Why? Because she's young. And she's going to heal faster than somebody who's 46, not 16. I love it when they're teenagers and early 20s because they just heal so fast. And then the last but not least, I did throw on Prep Body and Brain Phase after her 6 months because of those kidney and liver markers. Now, after I had her consultation where we went over all of this, both mom and her had one question. How does this relate to anxiety and depression? Let me tell you how. When your body is fighting these underlying infections, whatever they are, in her case, virus, bacterial and fungal, based off of her digestive symptoms, that's what I can deduct. It's going to result in 2 things. The first is it's going to leave her immune system and the rest of her body exhausted, depleted, to the point where it's just, okay, I give up. You can call it depression if you want, but that's how you feel. Or the other thing happens where your body is so uptight because it's got all of this stuff going on the inside that it doesn't take much to throw you into an anxiety attack. And that's how it all correlates. Stop chasing symptoms and start getting bodies into ideal healing environments. And I'll teach you my exact 5-step process, including with the blood work, inside my free cheat guide. drkylieburton.com is where you can get it, whether you're a practitioner or a patient, doesn't matter. In fact, I hate using the word patient because I don't want you to be a patient. I want you to know exactly what to do anytime you get labs. I'll teach you. Go grab the cheat guide and to get started. I'll see you next week.
Whether you have a diagnosis or not, I don't care. I'll teach you how to find what's causing your health concerns using the labs you already have. Your doctor might tell you your blood work is normal, but I'm here to teach you a better way. If you're a doctor or a health coach and anything in between, there's one for you too. Download your cheat guides and register here at drkylieburton.com. This podcast is sponsored by Systemic Formulas and Nutribiome. Systemic Formulas, the supplement company I trust with my patients and family. Instead of ordering from a handful of companies, I use 95% SF products. They're top-of-the-line quality with the best lab west of the Mississippi. They're pure, potent, and they get results. In fact, I recommend you follow their Instagram at Systemic Formulas Institute. Also, the man who's behind the Systemic Formulas products, Dr. Shane Morris, is launching a new line of supplements designed to take your microbiome to the next level. He has specific prebiotics designed to feed the probiotics. Learn more and order soon at mybiome.com, mybyome.com.